Hello, everyone. Great to be live with you. Well, a second Boeing whistleblower has died suddenly, and none other than his own mom is saying that she's wondering if someone did something to him. And the reason she feels that way is that doctors told her they've never seen anything like what happened to her son. This man was 44 years old, according to his aunt. His name was Josh Dean, and he would inspect Boeing parts that were being made by an aspect of Spirit Airlines, and had voiced concerns loudly to the mainstream media about problems with the manufacturing with Boeing, big safety concerns. NPR did an expose on this in February. Now he turns up dead in April. In a way, basically he got sick in April and had this 2-week sickness that doctors said, whoa, we've never seen anything like this. We're not sure how this happened. Very mysterious. It apparently included a stroke and a list of viruses, uh, according to his mom. So when you take a glance at the mainstream media reports on this, it's like, oh, he died of the flu. You guys are freaking out. You're conspiracy theorists. No, his family is wondering what's going on. And the fact that he blew the whistle recently and now he's dead at such a young age, and his family says he was remarkably healthy, is very strange. I want to show you some of his aunt's and his mom's Facebook posts about his death, and then we'll talk about the news reports. This is Josh Dean. You can see how young and fit he was right there. His aunt Carol Dean Parsons wrote on Facebook yesterday, I am grateful for the prayers of my family and friends for this young man. He passed away yesterday morning, and his absence will be deeply felt. We will always love you, Josh. 44 years old. She had been posting daily updates on Facebook about his condition, begging people for prayers because it was worsening. I'll show you another post that she made with his pictures. 2 days ago, my dear nephew Joshua passed away this morning. Thank you for all your prayers and thoughts. You can see him right there, not a guy who should just randomly die of the flu. So his family is looking for a thorough autopsy to find out exactly what happened. NPR is reporting that Dean rapidly went from healthy to being hospitalized. His family that said that this man took remarkable care of his health and was just in tip-top shape and really cared about not doing anything unhealthy. Yet NPR reports that Dean started feeling sick around 2 weeks ago. His mother, Virginia Green, told NPR that he stayed home from work for a couple of days, but things got worse. On Sunday, April 21st, is when I got a call, she says, from him that he was really sick and having trouble breathing, Green said. Quote, said that he went to an immediate care and they told him he had strep throat. Now, her Facebook post doesn't line up with that date. NPR reporting that date of April 21st. Maybe they got the date wrong, but let me show you what she wrote actually on Facebook on April 20th about her son's severe condition. Ginger Green, I'm sorry I haven't posted anything about my son, Josh. I've just been so overwhelmed with what's going on. My son is fighting for his life. He tested positive for influenza B and MRSA that went into pneumonia. His infection spread throughout his whole body into his bloodstream. His lungs are completely whited out, and they had to intubate him. His condition worsened, and he needed to be transferred to a hospital in Oklahoma City. They were in Wichita, Kansas, I guess. So he goes to Oklahoma City, and she says they had to put him on a life support machine. He is on dialysis too because he has so much fluid through his body, and they say that his kidneys and liver aren't doing well. They did a CT scan of the brain and saw that he has had a stroke. They stopped the sedation and pain meds so he could wake up. They need him to wake up to see how much damage the stroke has done. It's been 2 days, and he is still has not woke up. He's in very critical conditions. Doctors say it's a wait and see game. Please lift him up in prayer. So that was the 20th. And then 2 days ago, his aunt says that he has died. So his kidneys, his lungs are shutting down, and he has a stroke. And his mom tells NPR he has a list of viruses. And she's wondering if someone did something because doctors have never seen anything like this. Just 2 months after blowing the whistle to NPR about serious manufacturing concerns with Boeing, and 1 month after John Bernett, the whistleblower, is in the middle of testifying to he's doing a deposition testimony in the lead up to the actual lawsuit hearings. And so he's deposed and talking all the details of what Boeing was just doing to suppress serious concerns. Why would they do that? And he turns up dead. And police investigating his death, where he's apparently shot himself in his truck in South Carolina, police say this does look a little strange. We're definitely going to dig further. And what do you know? We're now in May. John Bernett was killed in March. And where's the update? I'm not getting details from police. And you know how easy it is to suppress a police investigation. I wonder if we're going to get those details. Also, the thorough autopsy of John Bernett. Where's that? We did get more details on what he was saying in that deposition. I can bring that to you. But let's finish out what the heck is going on with this second dead whistleblower now. NPR reports Green went to check on her son at his home, telling him to call her if he felt worse. She says, quote, he did call me a couple hours later, told me that he was in the emergency room. He was scared. They found something in his lungs. He tested positive for these viruses. He had pneumonia. His lungs were completely filled up, and he just went downhill, she says. Dean was initially treated at St. Jude Hospital in Wichita, but as he got worse, went to Oklahoma City. It was a stunning turn of events for the family. They said he was a gym rat, ran nearly every day, very careful with his diet, and this was his first time in the hospital, she said. But within days, Dean's kidneys gave out, and he was relying on life support to do the work for his heart and lungs. The night before Dean died, his mom said that the medical staff in Oklahoma did a bronchoscopy on his lungs. That means they put a little camera in there to see what's going on. She says the doctor said that he'd never seen anything like it before in his life. His lungs were just totally gummed up and like a mesh over them. Green says that she has asked for an autopsy to determine exactly what killed her son. Results will likely take months, she said. She told NPR, quote, we're not sure what he died of. We know that he had a bunch of viruses, but, we don't know if somebody did something to him, or did he just die from getting really sick. Now, let me show you the expose that he was revealing to NPR. He went to NPR and told the world that Boeing was having serious issues. Here it is. NPR, back on February 5th, they do an exclusive with him. Why problems at a key Boeing supplier may help explain the company's 737 MAX 9 mess. At the factory in Wichita, Kansas, where Spirit Aerosystems builds the fuselages for the Boeing 737 MAX, management would sometimes throw a pizza party to celebrate a drop in the number of problems reported on the line. But Joshua Dean, that's the guy who's now dead, says many of the workers knew something was off. Dean is quoted saying, quote, we're having a pizza party because we're lowering the defects, but we're not lowering the defects. We just ain't reporting them. You know what I mean? Oh, you can't say that, Josh. Now, federal investigators are looking more closely at Spirit Aerosystems to understand what went wrong with the door panel that blew off of the Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 9 in midair last month. The latest chapter. in the long and troubling relationship between the two companies. Dean says his father and grandfather had worked at the same Wichita factory, and he took his job as an auditor seriously. So Dean got frustrated when what he described as a culture that pressured employees not to report defects in order to get planes out of the factory faster. Dean, who's now dead, said, quote, "Now I'm not saying they don't want you to go out there and inspect a job. They do, but if you make too much trouble, you will get the Josh treatment. You will get what happened to me." Dean was fired last April in retaliation, he says, for flagging improperly drilled holes in fuselages. Dean said, quote, "I think they were sending out a message to anybody else, quote, if you're too loud, we will silence you." Dean has given his statement as part of a shareholders' lawsuit against Spirit Aerosystems that alleges an excessive number of defects at the Kansas factory. So Spirit Aerosystems is a contractor for Boeing, building parts for the Boeing 737 MAX. And now, has he been silenced to the max? He's now dead. And an autopsy will take months. An autopsy on John Bernett, who allegedly shot himself to death, has not come out. A thorough autopsy has not come out. The coroner initially looked at him and said he died of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Local news reported that police were saying that they were going to take this very seriously and investigate further. Now, you can't count out poisoning because strokes can be associated with poisoning. Okay, he could have just had some freak sickness. That's the first time the doctors ever come across that, killing a very healthy 44-year-old. It could have just been a freak incident that just happened to be another Boeing guy, or he could have been poisoned or something else. But you got to take everything into consideration because it's just a little bit strange that just a couple of months earlier, he had raised a bunch of alarm about planes. And now another Boeing whistleblower has died, and then he drops dead. Okay, so we've got to just double check that this is not some sort of poisoning, which, or something else. I wanted to show you guys what John Bernett, the other whistleblower, had been testifying. Another thing I noticed is that this whistleblower who's now dead, his aunt, just before sharing that her nephew was very sick, she shared a link to testimony about Boeing from yet another whistleblower, which I just wonder how that whistleblower is feeling after two whistleblowers have now died, and now this whistleblower is testifying. And the question is he going to stay safe? I wanted to bring you guys that link if I can find it here. Okay, let me find that one. In the meantime, let me show you guys an article from the New York Times about poisoning. Okay. This is back in 1975. It was revealed that the CIA had vials of shellfish and snake poison, snake venom poison that would cause bacterial reactions that would these small vials were enough to kill thousands of people. And it was believed by senators at the time that the CIA had that poison to be used against the Congo, the leader of the Congo at that time. But the Congolese people ended up killing the leader themselves. And then the president ordered this poison to be destroyed. This is according to the New York Times, September 10th of 1975. Well, the CIA did not destroy the poison. They held on to it, but it was unclear what the poison was used for, if they had used it against anyone else, if they were planning to use it against people. And it says here, the Idaho Democrat Senator Frank Church said his committee had received evidence that in violation of the 1969 presidential order, the CIA retained 8 milligrams of a poison made from cobra venom, 10 grams of a toxin made from a form of shellfish. He said that these amounts were enough to kill thousands. Mr. Church said that instruments designed for the purpose of transmitting these toxins also have been discovered. He said that he was not prepared to charge today that the CIA ever intended to conduct mass bacteriological warfare against foreign nations. Bacteriological warfare against foreign nations. He wasn't prepared to say that that was the plan. So people do, retain bacteriological warfare agents. It's been reported by the New York Times. Our own CIA does, and who knows who else does, and that they have instruments designed for transmitting those toxins into someone else. But they didn't say what the instrument was. But this stuff does happen, and American media acts like Russia is the only country that does this sort of attack. Only Russians poison people, right? Nobody else would poison someone. It couldn't possibly be poison that would cause someone's perfectly healthy organs to all shut down, lungs, kidneys, a stroke in the brain. We just have to consider these things and ask these questions and wonder why 2 whistleblowers are dead just shortly after they were both speaking out publicly about this stuff. So the 911 recording of John Bernett in South Carolina, the hotel staff went out and discovered his body in his truck after his attorneys had called the hotel and said, he's not showing up for his deposition. Can you guys check his room? They go to the room. There's nothing. Okay, can you go look for his truck? Hotel staff then finds his truck out in the parking lot with his dead body inside, and the local news did report
the 911 calls made from an employee of the Holiday Inn on Savannah Highway after she found Boeing whistleblower John Bernett dead in his car. Bernett had worked for Boeing for 32 years. He had filed a whistleblower complaint against the company regarding safety concerns on things like oxygen systems and substandard parts. The Department of Justice was working through the discovery part of its investigation before hearings were set to begin in June. According to the incident report from the Charleston Police Department, multiple agencies were called to the Holiday Inn around 10:14 on the morning of March 9th. They arrived at that hotel 3 minutes later. Based on the 911 calls they received that day, the hotel received a call asking that staff conduct a wellness check on Bernett. The caller said staffers could not find him in his room and went out to the parking lot where someone found Bernett dead with a firearm in his hand.
Is he moving at all?
No.
Can you direct the emergency crew to him?
You said, can I?
Yeah, can you direct the emergency crew to him? Okay. I'm sending the paramedics to help you now. Send the line, not tell you exactly what to do next. If you get more information, or if anything gets worse in any way, call us back for further instructions, but help is on the way. After Barnett's death, his brother Rodney said in a statement to the Associated Press that John was deeply concerned about the safety of the Boeing aircrafts and that the family believes that the PTSD and anxiety caused by a hostile work environment at the company led to his death.
Nature gives us what we...
All right. So this new whistleblower who's died, the day before, I believe it was the day before she posted about her nephew in critical condition in the hospital, shared a link to this article about yet another Boeing whistleblower who was testifying. She shared this link originally from The Hill, reporting that Boeing whistleblower says that 787 fleet should be grounded. Boeing engineer Sam Silapur said in a Tuesday interview that he thinks that all 787 jets should be grounded to allow for proper safety checks of the planes, which have come under fire in recent months following a slew of incidents. She also shared a post that said, I will not care what happens to me for sharing the truth, basically. I'm paraphrasing what her post said. So I just thought that was interesting. And then she's sharing what's happening to her nephew. So this is the other update that happened in April, is that Boeing whistleblowers testified before Congress. And here's a clip of that.
Yeah, good evening. And so senators of the Chamber's Homeland Security Investigation Subcommittee said the allegations against Boeing are, quote, serious and shocking. An engineer turned whistleblower has accused the company of taking shortcuts in the making of its 777 and 787 Dreamliner jets. Now, Sam Silapur claims crews who have been building these planes since 2011 have failed to properly assemble separate parts. And as a result, he says the jets are vulnerable to breaking apart. Now, Silapur says he told his superiors, but he was threatened, transferred, and silenced in retaliation. Listen to this exchange between he and Missouri Senator Josh Hawley.
Are these planes safe? Right now, I would not. It's like an earthquake. Let's say if you're talking of a building, have to be prepared to accommodate that type of a, let's say, shakeup. It has to be built properly. Right now, from what I've seen, the airplanes are not being built per spec and per requirement.
Now, in a statement, Boeing said, quote, these claims about the structural integrity of the 787 are inaccurate, and the issues raised have been subject to rigorous engineering examination under FAA oversight. Now, the FAA is investigating the matter, and in a separate hearing with the Senate Commerce Committee today, an expert panel described Boeing as having, quote, a broken safety culture. And
dang. Okay, when there's that many whistleblowers coming out, like something must be going on. And by the way, the attorneys who were doing the deposition with whistleblower John Bernett when he turns up dead last month, or back in March, it was more than a month and a half ago, they said that the lawsuit will be going forward. It wasn't just John Bernett testifying. There's other whistleblowers in that lawsuit. And the Boeing lawsuit is going forward with hearings happening in June, I read. So it's going ahead. There's multiple whistleblowers, and the Boeing safety issues have been in the news. I mean, part of a plane flew off in January, and then a crazy plane convulsion happened between Australia and New Zealand in March, the same weekend that John Bernett turns up dead. Those are the things that we know about. The deposition transcript from what John Bernett was saying when he died has been released to the public now. Where did I put that one? I want to see if I can show that one to you guys. So I can't find. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Let me show you. It's the BBC was covering it. Boeing dead whistleblower warned of safety breaches. This came out last week, and BBC reporting that Barnett's transcript of 140 pages of what he was saying in the deposition, just damning stuff against Boeing, has been released. And then, of course, his deposition was cut off because he decided to kill himself, allegedly, which his attorneys are not buying it. They said he was in great mental health. He was thrilled that he could put this information out. It was like his duty to do that. Now, his family, on the other hand, says he was really strung out and stressed from the whole whistleblowing thing, and his family feels his mental health was shot and that he may have committed suicide. His attorneys, who are the last people who spent time with him, are saying absolutely not. This man did not kill himself. But BBC is reporting that part of what John Bernett testified in the deposition just before dying was, quote, "We don't have time to follow process." He was saying that the Boeing factory, their motto was, "We don't have time to follow processes. We're building airplanes," which is basically the same thing that Josh Dean, who's now dead, was saying. BBC says this, he said, had allowed an awful lot of faulty parts onto the production line. Well, others had simply been lost. These included 2 large sections of aircraft fuselage, which, quote, weren't anywhere to be found. There was also an explosion risk. In one specific instance, he claimed a contaminated and faulty tube designed to work in an oxygen system had been removed from a scrap bin and might have been installed on an aircraft that was now in service. Such parts normally had to be carefully sterilized to reduce the risk of unwanted chemical reactions. Without that, he said, there was a risk that if the system was activated, it could cause an explosion that would bring the whole plane down. So, okay, it goes on. It was 140 pages of that sort of detailed testimony before he died. So these are very concerning things. You would think that Boeing would have great incentive to maintain safety. All of these headlines about these dead whistleblowers are not good for Boeing's business at all. Average passengers like you and me are like, I'm going to avoid Boeing planes, and I'm going to go with planes that are not manufactured from Boeing. Okay, so it's just bad PR. So what's really going on here? Of course, Boeing would never say that they're just saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, John Bernett died. That's tragic. We love him." That's Boeing's reaction. And what are they going to say about Josh Dean now? His mom wants answers. His mom's waiting for that autopsy. It's going to take a couple months, but she's going to get thorough details on what the heck happened to her perfectly healthy son who'd never been to the hospital, goes running every day, eats super healthy, 44 years old, and gets hit with a slew of viruses, a stroke, his organs shutting down out of nowhere. We got questions. This is weird. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and also be sure to check out the sponsor of my coverage, Prepare with Ivory. Emergency food kits are a great thing to have on time. You at this time, like in this time to be alive, if you have a bucket of emergency food that you can easily cook up. I've cooked it up. It tastes delicious, but it lasts a very long time. Long shelf life, tons of meals in one bucket. Great thing to have if things get weird, which they are getting weird. So link down in my description for preparewithivory.com. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Where have I been? I've been MIA on YouTube. I'm on Rumble too. This is streaming in both places. And I'm going to get back to it, guys. It's great to be with you. Stay blessed. Talk to you later.